I actually, on my cover letter applying to UMBC, I put P.S. It is just a coincidence I work on Orioles and Ravens. And I'm not sure if anyone has ever put a P.S. on a cover letter before, but it worked. So I'm excited to speak to you today because I get to talk to you about two of the things I'm most passionate about. I get to tell you about the research on bird behavior that my students and I do, and I also get to talk to you about the importance of diversity and the work on faculty diversity I do as part of UMBC's STRIDE team. And what we do on the STRIDE team, it's a group of faculty that work with departments to help make searches more inclusive and more welcoming. And we really think this is important because we know that more diverse groups of researchers can tackle new types of problems and can tackle old problems in new ways. And the research that we've done on birdsong and the people who do the birdsong research really illustrate this well. So that was supposed to be the slide up there now, faculty diversity and excellence. So for a long time, as mentioned before I started at UMBC, I had been working on Orioles. And so I've been working on the Baltimore Oriole and its relatives. And you see this male Baltimore Oriole with its elaborate coloration compared to the female Oriole on the right with much more muted, dull coloration. The male also has this beautiful, elaborate song. So the female does not have a long, complex song. And people have long assumed that that male Oriole is using that song and that coloration to attract females. But this entire conception of how birds are is very different when we go to the tropics. So my students and I have been working in the Bahamas on a species called the Bahama Oriole for the last 4 years. And that's a critically endangered species found in just one island in the Bahamas. And Carl called me out. He said, that's the same bird, Kevin. But the point is, both the males and the females have identical plumage coloration. Both the males and females are elaborately colored. So literally, we don't have pictures where we know this is the male and this is the female. That's an assignment for future students. So not only do the male and female both have elaborate coloration, both the male and female sing. So there's no way for me to tell whether that's a male or a female, at least at this point. So now we have an entirely different question. What are males and females using those elaborate vocalizations and coloration for? So I have this really different way of thinking versus these temperate birds versus these tropical zone birds. And that dichotomy, these differences, really influence the very definition and the way birdsong has been studied. So the traditional definition of birdsong is very biased. And how is that definition biased? It's biased based on the geographic location of the birds being studied. It's biased based on the geographic location of the researchers. And it's biased based on the gender of the researchers, we believe. So this traditional definition of birdsong, written about in this important book called Birdsong, songs are complex vocalizations produced by males in the breeding season. And so this is written by two people done a lot of their work in Great Britain. They're both faculty members in Great Britain, and they're both men. And I believe that their definition of birdsong is very much tied up in all of those things. So this view of birdsong assumes that most birdsong evolution happens in males. But in recent years, there's been an increasing number of people, especially a number of important women scientists, including this woman, Naomi Langmore. And I happened to be able to meet Naomi when I did a sabbatical in Australia in 2007. And Naomi writes, a historic bias toward behavioral studies in the temperate northern hemisphere have led to the perception that female song is rare and anomalous behavior. So Naomi and others working on this problem have begun to ask the question, does most birdsong evolution involve females as well? So shortly after that sabbatical in Australia, a young scientist contacted me, Karen Odom, and contacted me about doing a PhD on female song here at UMBC. So she was a great PhD student here, and shortly after she arrived here, she was able to get a National Science Foundation fellowship to go to Australia for the summer to work with Naomi, and they set out to study evolution of female song across all songbirds. So Karen amassed a huge data set and did some very clever analysis, and as a PhD student was able to publish a paper in Nature Communications entitled "Female Song is Widespread and Ancestral in Songbirds." And one of the most striking findings was her data set showed that female song was present in 71% of the species surveyed. And that was a number much larger than we even anticipated. And Karen was also able to show that female song was present in the common ancestor of all songbirds. So we know that this common ancestor lived in Australia roughly over 50 million years ago, and Karen's careful analysis gave us lots of evidence that that common ancestor had female song. So this leads to a completely new paradigm for the original evolution of bird song. How did bird song first evolve so that it functions in both males and females? So within the field of bird song, this was a radically new paradigm. And we think it's really important that the people who led this work, that who they were, really helped lead to this new paradigm. So during this work, my students and I began to discuss the fact that a lot of the key thought leaders in this research on female song, that a lot of them were women. Coincidentally, the first name on this list, Dr. Susan Faribaugh, happens to be the sister of the chair of my biology department, Dr. Phil Faribaugh. Just a marvelous coincidence. I've already mentioned Naomi Langmore. I'll put my student Karen Odom up on that list. And so it seemed clear to us that many of the key papers in this field were written by women. And so we began to ask ourselves, are women more likely to study female song than men are? And so this project was led by a UMBC undergraduate named Casey Haynes. She just graduated in May, working closely with one of my current PhD students, Evangeline Rose. And Casey searched for all papers published in that 20-year period that had female song in their title or in their abstract. And then she compiled a control data set. Those were papers published in the same journals in the same years, but were about bird song, i.e. about male song. And so she was able to use these data to ask, are women more likely to publish papers in this area than are men? And the answer is a resounding yes. So on the left there, you see the bird song papers. 56%, the majority of the bird song papers, are written by men. And in contrast of the female song papers, the majority of those papers are written by women. So that means men are 25% less likely to study female song. Conversely, women are 25% more likely to study female song. So we believe this is a pretty strong case study demonstrating that who we are, where we are from, what experiences we have, really influences the science that we do. So more diverse groups of researchers may tackle a greater diversity of questions, utilize more diverse methods and conceptual approaches, and really enable us to reach new insights that we might not have been able to reach had we had a much narrower group of researchers doing the question. And we've known this at UMBC for a long time. It's one of the most exciting things about being here. But our work on the STRIDE Faculty Diversity Committee, this really propels us forward, that we know we can be better at everything we do at UMBC as we continue to diversify our faculty. And we think that our work on female song really provides a dramatic example of the importance of diversity for all scientific research. Thanks for your attention.